Internet, hello and welcome! We're here with the Classic Championship Series Novice League Week 7. I'm AgentA2, this is Sultan, and we're gonna get right into Champion Select for game number 1 between Reign of Kings and Elysium Frost. Both of these teams currently coming into this week sitting at 4 and 2. Elysium Frost just having taken one of their two losses last week, with Reign of Kings kind of having a bounce back after a couple losses with a win last week. First bans coming across are Varus and Karma on the side of Reign of Kings. Elysium looks to be pinching away at the support pool with Thresh and Annie bans. Annie been a mainstay of the support player for Reign of Kings rather than the mid laner.
Yeah, and to be honest, with the third ban, I'm just assuming they would ban the Wukong. It's been a really important champion for the Reign of Kings. They will actually not, so maybe Reign of Kings are not really looking to play that. But last week when I was actually lucky enough to cast Reign of Kings again, Hastiga was really good on the champion. Wit did not really play the Jinx, so interesting that they're opting in for it. Maybe they have like some new match prep for this series, but yeah, like Reign Kings overall, I think they like to play around their ADC pretty well. They like these Zeri Jinx type of champions where they can play around it. Elysium will actually steal the Wukong from the Reign Kings, so it'll be interesting what they kind of have prepared.
Yeah, in my experience with the Reign of Kings, I definitely think that Jinx is a very good champion for them. Wit plays a lot of this champion. They seem to play well when their AD carry has the potential to hard carry a team fight once they get a good engage. No surprise to see the Elysium take away Wukong, like you were saying, big jungle champion overall, and of course a big jungle champion for Reign of Kings on Hastega. Xayah, I think, is a great AD carry to answer. Just one of the better AD carries on the patch alongside Jinx. Has the capacity to self-peel, carry team fights. She kind of just has it, like, has a very good balance across the board as far as AD carries go. Reign of Kings going to deny away the Lovers Duo by locking in the Rakan. Nice flexible support, has shielding, has healing, decent laning phase, and of course, very powerful engage tool with the quickness. And now I would guess that they're going to lock in a jungler here.
Yeah, possibly. With Jinx and Rakan, you kind of want another thing that can be in the front line, which can be Lee Sin, a little bit more early game focused compared to Wukong, who kind of wants to play for a little bit more towards level 6. Lee Sin beats most champions in the early level 1v1s and like really strong ganks, especially if he can land his Q. But like stealing away the Rakan probably provides a lot, takes away a lot from Elysium's side. You kind of want the Rakan to be able to follow up the Wukong engage. It's been, I think, one of the best engage supports in the game. Just a lot of playmaking. Nautilus, though, a really great counter, especially if they can layer the CC correctly with the Xayah. It is almost a for sure kill most of the times in lane if they have the ignite or exhaust up any of the combat summoner spells. And Elysium will actually just grab a frontline tank and like probably one of the best scaling tanks in the game right now, which is
Yeah, the
Sion.
Scion locked in, nice save, almost really one could even say a strong laning phase coming out of Scion. He just has among tanks one of the better abilities to shove waves. Elysium with the second round of bans banned away two major scaling mages in the form of Aurelion Soul and Rise, but they leave the Vigar as the option for Reign of Kings, which will be locked in. So they do have quite a bit of scaling on the side of Reign of Kings between Jinx and Vigar. The Lee Sin kind of trying to serve as the bridge, the strong early game that will allow your champions to have the time to scale.
Oh,
Lilia top is going to be locked in for Reign of Kings as the
is
answer to
it
the Scion, interestingly enough.
is it Lilia top or like maybe Lee Sin top?
I
I
do
would
believe it will
assume.
be. I believe it will be Lilia top, just because Lee Sin, big champion for Hastega, and then of course Lilia is a champion that Slappy has had in his arsenal in the past, and
Yeah.
generally just a strong pick into tanks, kind of in the same way that Darius a lot of times will be. You kind of just like get to hit them over and over again until they just slowly die, and they
Yeah.
can't really threaten you back. The last pickup for Elysium Frost will be the Anivia. I love Anivia. I think the champion is just very, very good. Um, quite. I don't know if it's even underrated. I think a lot of people think the champion is good, but gives you a lot of zone control. You can cut off corridors with the Glacial Storm, you can cut it off with the Crystallize, and of course, Flash Frost, temporarily at the very least, will dissuade an advance from the side of Reign of Kings. So I like it. It kind of sets up Elysium to have this kind of kite back sort of team composition between Xayah and Nibia, both champions that really like to kite away from an advancing team. Nautilus, Wukong, and Scion, generally speaking, you think of those champions as moving boards, but I think those three champions in particular are at least have a level of versatility that allows them to kite back alongside their team.
Yeah, and I feel like you mentioned a really good point on Nivea. I think it's going to make it really hard for the side of Reign of Kings to really play their team comp, because when you look at it, other than the Jinx, they might have to just walk up into Anivia's range most of the times where they're either looking to engage or look for a play. So Anivia's zone control will definitely be useful here, especially I think with the slows. It just sets up Wukong really well. Because Reign of Kings, they will be looking to kind of dive onto this Anivia. If you're not really CCing the Anivia, she gets to just keep her ultimate up for long periods of time, especially in the mid to late game where she has the Rod of Ages, or like the Seraphs, where she has really a lot of mana pool. So just the zoning for that and the just Elysium's control of these objectives will be really increased. If I had to really choose my favorite between the two, I would say Elysium, unless Reign of Kings somehow get one of their laners accelerated early on, which I don't really expect because of Anivia. She has the egg. It should be safe. You're still ranged mid lane. You're probably fine. Like even in the top lane, Sion is probably has the worst matchup in this game into the Lilia. But unless he's like really greeding to get the minions and getting free hit by the Lilia, if he just lets the Lilia push into him, he should again have a safe laning phase. Maybe going down on CS a little bit, but as long as they're not getting fed, I think they just have the better 5v5 team fights with the Nautilus, with the Sion, with the Cyclone that will be coming from Wukong, and your ADC can peel herself off the Lee Sin herself, so you don't even need to worry about like just okay, we have to like just pay attention to Xayah all the time. She can kind of peel herself. So I really like what Elysium kind of went with their draft.
Yeah, uh, I would say I completely agree with you. I think honestly both of these team comps have really nice drafts, but I think in the same way that you do, Elysium comes out ever so slightly ahead in my opinion, just because
He's
Reign of Kings picked Lilia top. It should dominate in lane, and they're kind of depending on it dominating in lane because otherwise they don't really have a true frontliner in the same way that Elysium does. They have the Scion, and of course Lee Sin. I don't think this champion is bad, but it does require that you make some early plays. It doesn't have the safety of scaling, and the safety of just general usefulness that Wukong
yeah.
will, no matter what stage of the game post 6 is. So, I think that Reign of Kings, like you said, they need to get accelerated and sort of just carry a lead to victory in order to win out on this game. Otherwise, they're just not going to be able to chew through this Scion, and Jinx won't get excited, and Elysium Frost will just sort of run them down. Uh, that being said, I really like, and I think that this game will depend very heavily on which mid laner has the better eye, I would say.
Yeah.
Both Vigar and Anivia have very good tools for, just suddenly catching out an AD carry or catching out the opposing mid laner with the event horizons, or by cutting them off from the rest of their team with crystallizes or glacial storms or flash frosts. So I do think a lot of the onus will be on whether Chachi or Naysayer has the better performance between Vigar and Anivia in this game. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited to see that. I really like these games where the mid laners have a lot of agency on their picks. These battle mages that just can cut off corridors with their abilities.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I think it's just the ease of execution for the Elysium side. Like there isn't a lot of skill shots that are too hard to like miss. Nivea Q covers a large hitbox, especially towards the end, like towards the tip of the actual ice shard. And then also the another like skill shot I guess is the Naldus hook, which I think all of us know how broken the hitbox on that could be. On the other side, Reign of Kings, Lee Sin, I just wouldn't say he gets like completely out. I feel like the champion as a bruiser is like kind of fine. He still has like decent AD damage. The issue is you just need to be mechanically proficient at the champion to really execute these like game-winning plays. The champion has that kind of the X factor for himself, where one kick can literally just end a team fight before it even starts. You get one kick off, you get into stopwatch or GA, and then you're just fine. He also has like really like good survivability in the front line with the Gore Drinker most of the time. So I think it is just this should just come down to how good Hestiga is on Lee Sin. Because if he can run the early game, his team does scale pretty well, especially with the Veigar, with the Lilia, with the Jinx. But if they're getting behind in the early game, it is also kind of hard for them to really work their way back into a team comp that has a lot of zoning tools, and they don't really scale too terribly either.
Yeah, that's another thing that you bring up. You know, if you fall behind, then you're kind of pushed back towards your base. You're pushed back towards your base. You lose control of vision, and when you are kind of wandering into dark jungle trying to get vision back in order to fight for objectives, it's very dangerous up against champions like Anivia that have so many tools to like cut you off with Crystallize or catch you out with Flash Frost, and of course Nautilus, Scion charging his Q in Fog of War. It's so dangerous. So you know, just another consideration for Reign of Kings needing to stay or keep up in this game. We have about a minute and 10 seconds left on the spectator delay, so we are going to throw up a standby screen as we get prepped up for game number 1. So thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you in just a little bit for game number 1 between Reign of Kings and Elysium Frost. Internet, hello and welcome back. We're here with game number 1 between Reign of Kings and Elysium Frost. Both these teams are starting out with a little bit of a 5-man push, unfortunately for us as the viewers, into opposite sides of the map, so they will not be running into one another, although it might be scary for Slappy on his way up top lane if they happen to stay where they are. Slappy did take his recall as the rest of Reign of Kings push into the bottom side jungle of Elysium. Now they're all going to go ahead and take their recalls. Looks like both junglers... I'll hold that thought. Interesting to note, I believe this might be Elysium Frost's last actual game of this regular season of Classic Championship Series, because the two teams that are scheduled to play in weeks 8 and 9, unless I'm reading the master sheet incorrectly, have withdrawn from the league or otherwise will not be playing.
Yeah, I think that was something that the people talked about in the podcast as well. Did we see a potential late invade, and it's not even going to be spotted? So Elysium's bot lane is actually
Yeah, they don't
clueless.
know.
Like, they were not able to really catch it out, and Chaser's actually walking back
Yeah,
now.
Chaser's gonna see it now. So they will know that the blue buff
Oh.
has been stolen away. Hastega actually going ahead to use the smite there, so that's a little bit of an advantage that they know that the smite is used, so Chihuahua might have a smite advantage at an early potential skirmish, but you see Hastega kind of... Well, he doesn't actually steal away any of the camps other than the blue buff on the side of Elysium, so potentially more stolen away by Chihuahua if he goes for more than just this blue buff trade.
Yeah, and I was kind of... Hastega will try to move down towards that blue buff, but with the smite, Chihuahua... Oh! He grabs it. And the Q miss from Mystiga, so they're just going to move their respective ways. But to be honest, with that trade-off, I think Chihuahua is kind of happier because Mystiga now has got a clear towards bot side, but already took the Raptor, so it's going to be an interesting pathing for him for sure. He also still doesn't have his red buff. Can't really look for any ganks. Top wave is pushing in, bot wave is pushing in. I guess it's just the power farming time for this Lee Sin. Mid lane is maybe gankable, but they've been keeping good vision of deep vision in Hastiga's jungle for now. There's still that one ward that might catch him out.
Yeah, a lot of damage traded between Boogie and Slappy, but once the ETH lands from Slappy, it's quite a big chunk of damage for landing in the sweet spot of that W. Like you said, Hastega clearing towards that bottom side is on the red buff now, and Slappy just continuing to move forward. A lot of damage. Again, Boogie might just die here. The burn coming out is quite a bit, but will hold his ground, doesn't even burn his flash, and will take a recall and probably just teleport back to lane.
He stopped his recall. Slappy is kind of out of mana, so he is also forced out of here probably soon, as soon as Boogie looks at TP
both
back.
junglers are on the bottom side, and Chaser moving forward with the dredge line available. Bad Cop is going to try and juke this one out. The Flame Chompers are going to be placed down, but Bad Cop gets rooted up. He's going to battle dance out to safety and will be able to make it out. Sonic Wave connects from Hastega on the rebound. Wit coming forward, just throwing away those missiles. It will just be the exhaust from Bad Cop expended there. Nice hold on the flash to survive.
Yeah, and with that flash being saved, maybe they can look for another play when the Lee Sin kind of heads down here again. But really good attempt from Elysium too. I think just being able to burn that exhaust means that Vortex doesn't really need to burn the cleanse for anything other than maybe the Jinx traps, which might save her life moving on. They still have the Ignite on Chaser. A 2v2 kill is really still a high possibility for the bot side of Elysium after that trade-off. And just off the early game, like CSing, they already created a 300 gold lead. Not too big, but again, that's a kill worth of gold.
Yeah, I'm wondering where that's coming from. There's not a huge discrepancy on either side. So 300 gold just kind of comes out of nowhere, but Hastega coming in for a gank onto Boogie. Slappy's gonna slow him up. The Sonic Wave will connect. Boogie still has his flash, and Chihuahua's here though. Level 3 on this Wukong is gonna come back in. Boogie charging up the Decimating Smash does not find a knockup, but it will be the flash from the Scion exerted by Elysium Frost.
Yeah, and like we've been seeing how Boogie is struggling in this matchup for now, and the wave is actually left in a pushing state. So if Sloppy wants to commit to a fight before Boogie hits 6,
Here's
he
the
might just
repeat.
be dead. Oh.
Yeah, the repeat potential from Hastega as he's slowed up. Boogie.
What?
Oh, that's a DC. I hope the pause comes in.
Oh.
Oh, that's a really
That's-
rough situation.
Oh my. I think it's really unfortunate because as soon as he actually went to DC was when Slappy landed the E, so they were not able to pause.
Yeah, well,
That's a
like
bummer.
they just didn't know. That is very
Yeah.
unfortunate, and I'm not sure.
I-
I don't think there's any protocol for this. Unfortunately, we're not Riot Games. We don't have
I-
access to Chrono Break.
I
The
thought he was
unpause comes
BMing.
through.
I thought he was like BMing to like maybe bait for Chihuahua, but then I was like, oh no, he's actually just DC'd, and then as soon as the Lilia E lands, it's just like player's been disconnected. You hate to see it, but with that kill, it brings it gives the first blood over to Hestiga, which we talked about it. This Lee Sin is kind of Reign Kings' way out of this early game. That might actually be problematic if it wasn't for any other champion. But if he can maybe pull Reign Kings through this early game, which this player has done on other champions before, I feel like they're just going to be really comfortable going into late game.
Yeah, big approval from me. Both Chachi and Nacy are going for a tier rod build. I know that a lot of times Anivia will go for a tier, but not necessarily go for the Rod of Ages. In my opinion, I think the Rod of Ages is just the way to go on both of these two champions. I also see Vygar's going for Everfrost. I don't think it's bad by any means, but I think you just get so much value out of Rod of Ages. And I'm happy to see them both going for it. Now, Bad Cop kind of a little bit on his own here, looking for an engage as the Sonic Wave. He steals it! Great smite from Hastega! But now, are those two members just going to go down? They've been Horizon. Hastega flashes out the CP, and the Primordial Burst takes out Chihuahua! Wit is cut up by the Crystallize, a flash forward for the Rip from Chaser. The
Vortex.
Glacial Storm is just winning away, but Wit is just hitting away on Vortex.
Oh.
The Dredge Line going to connect as Vortex flashes out to safety, and it's going to be a Q from Chachi to get the kill. Bad Cop goes back in with the Grand Entrance, but he's rooted up on top of the Glacial Storm. Battle dances out, the Vet Horizon goes down. It's going to up one
Good
Sonic Wave on the Naysayer. He's gonna go in on the Chaser and gets it with the E, but he'll go down to Naysayer on the other side. He's still got the egg, so they don't want to keep chasing, but it's a very strange turn of events, a 3 for 2, ever so slightly the lead for Reign of Kings plus the Dragon.
Yeah, kind of an interesting kind of use of Silver Spells there from what he flashed to predict Vortex's E, but then Vortex just held on to his flash and then flashed away. So Wit wasn't really able to get much. It then stayed melee range to the champions from Elysium. But both mid laners actually picking up 2 kills from that exchange. Plus, I think Hestiga was able to pick up 1 extra, so 3 for 2 in the end. These mid laners, both of them are kind of scary when they get accelerated. But I would have to say, especially with Veigar's like infinite scaling, it might just be. I don't think that for Elysium you just want to go for these trade-offs. I think you peak in mid game, your team comp kind of works better in the mid game without the scaling added through. So just accelerating the enemy team might just be a problem for them.
Yeah, Boogie and Slappy just really hammering away at each other. Every time we pan up top lane, we just see them hitting each other with abilities non-stop, trading their health bars away. Slappy has quite the CS lead now left in isolation. 71 to 53 right now, taking a recall. Yeah, I think it's quite scary to contend with Vygar infinite scaling, but to be fair, at the very least, Vygar's infinite scaling is not in tank stats. So if you can just like find a catch with Anivia, it is possible to just kill the Vygar and then he doesn't do any damage, and it doesn't matter how many stacks of the Tiny Evil or whatever he has. We'll see. A nice team fight, I wanted to say, just by both sides around that dragon. Reign of Kings with that Dragon steal away by Hestega, and it's just very unfortunate for Chihuahua that the Hestega really wasn't hampered on going in there. Bad Cop, meanwhile, is going to go in on the Grand Entrance onto Chaser. Not really any follow-up, as Wit just kind of more focused on pushing the wave away. Dredgeline going to connect onto Bad Cop as the Flame Chompers go down behind them. Death Charge going to come out as well. Vortex is just throwing down feathers. Wit taking a lot of damage as he's ignited. Here's the Grand Entrance. He's going to look for the knockup, but then Supermarket at the Rockets. Plus, and that last auto attack will get the kill for Wit, but Bad Cop goes down on the other side. 1-for-1 in the bottom lane.
Yeah, 1-for-1 in the bottom lane. Pretty close. Wit barely gets the kill with the help of the Super Mega Death Rocket, but they trade kills on the supports, and Wit is actually too squishy to really be able to stay down here. So Vortex will be able to pick up a plate, make sure that this turret eats the minion wave. So I think it's just a good exchange for the side of Elysium. And we already see the first mythics coming through. Rod of Ages for both of these mid laners, 10 minutes in, really early Rod of Ages, so both of them will be pretty scary by the time probably the third or fourth Drake is coming up.
Yeah, I think, and that fight in particular kind of demonstrates one of the weaknesses of Jinx as an AD carry that Xayah doesn't really have. Jinx is great at carrying team fights if you can get the first kill, but her damage really takes a little bit of time to scale up. You need a couple of those get excited stacks to really take over a team fight, whereas Xayah's damage is a little bit more, it's not front-loaded for the most part because you do have to set the feathers, but it's more front-loaded in those kind of skirmishes than the Jinx is. You're just kind of relying on auto attacks. Hestega might be caught here. Dodges away from the Cyclone with the safeguard, so nice job there as the Death Charge going to connect onto Chachi, as with the Flash Frost. Chihuahua actually flashes over the wall to Cyclone up onto him, but Chihuahua doesn't have anything left for him, has to get out back to safety. Now Wit is here. Hestega looking for something with the Sonic Wave as the Zap will connect. He is actually going to connect the Sonic Wave onto Chihuahua.
Oh my!
It's going to be the kick that gets the kill. Hestega flashes away, looking for a way out. The Crystallize will find him from Naysayer, and he will take him down with that E. And now Slappy, meanwhile, has gotten the Unstoppable Onslaught directly under tower. Boogie flashes for it. Decimating Smash gets the kill. Boogie with a solo kill in the top lane.
Yeah, Slappy going down there in that matchup. Boogie just getting the TP off, burning the flash as well. Trades flashes with Slappy, so not even like any extra burn sums. Slappy will probably be forced to TP back into this lane. Maybe not, the wave is gonna die, so you might just choose to not TP there. But good try on that play from Hestega. But again, he gets a kill, but it's another kill given over to Naysayer. 3-0 on the Anivia right now. Richest player in the game by a small margin. They're basically even with Chachi, but a little 40 gold lead for Naysayer. But with Hestega going down,
he's gonna go
being
for
back on map later.
Oh, Super Mega Death Rocket comes through as well, but it will be evened up on the Dragons.
Yeah, and I think there was a buff lately on that Super Mega Death Rocket where it does, I think, 1200 damage to the camps, to the big jungle camps, like epic monsters.
Yeah, I think they upped the potential damage on epic monsters because it was they did like nerf it earlier, because honestly at the time Jinx rocket steals on like epic monsters was happening a little bit more frequently than I think.
I think it was like 2000 or like 1500 when the smite was 900. Then they nerfed it to 600. But then when they upped the smite to 1200, it was like we still want that X factor on that champion, so they kind of pushed it back up. And to be honest, it is really like threatening, especially in the early dragons where sometimes your smite is only doing 600 damage, so the Jinx ulti can actually steal some of those away. We look at the kind of the item spikes. This Jinx is still kind of
Slappy is not actually winning out on these trades. Boogie doesn't even have the Heartsteel finished and is already taking these pretty nice trades onto Slappy. Kind of scary prospect for the Reign of Kings. You pick this top laner who, you know, should be winning lane and more importantly is not a tank, so it's a little bit hurting your ability to team fight front to back. And you're kind of just losing these 1v1s. Only died the one time, and it still has a 30 CS lead accrued. Rift Herald dropped on the top side. That'll pick up first tower for the side of Reign of Kings.
Yeah. And I think it's gonna get much easier once he actually finishes the Liandry's. I also sometimes like would see Riftmaker on the top lane Lilia for a little bit more tankiness, a little bit more sustain. It does have like some ramp up damage that you can kind of make use of. But with the Liandry's, I think completed now, he should be feeling much more secure, much more damage in that side lane matchup. I'm assuming he's going for either Rylai's or Randuin, Demonic Embrace
Yeah.
secondary. So after those components are finished, he's gonna get a little bit more tankier, so a little bit more chance, like he's gonna have better chance while fighting against Boogie. I'm personally waiting for the flash 9-man sleep from Slappy, you know, like
The Speaker Classic.
yeah, because I think there's a decent chance we might see something like that, because if it's not bad call pulling the trigger, there's no one that can actually like follow it up sometimes. Because Lee Sin Q's in, but then as soon as the sleep is broken, then you might die, you know? So, it will be interesting how they kind of play around that. But, actually, Chachi is already at 360 stacks on the tier, so he's getting closer to Seraphs right now.
Ooh, Chihuahua coming over the wall. It's gonna flash in. The Cyclone in onto Wit, and the Dredge line to pull him off. Hastega coming in. Bad Cop gets a good, nice knock up, and there's the Featherstorm coming out. Vortex just pulls the feathers back. A Super Mega Rocket comes down. Chihuahua going very low. Chaser is down. Chihuahua's down. Hastega on the other side took down Vortex, and that'll be okay. Now Chihuahua's down. It was the clone. I was wrong. But now Naysayer's found himself in a bad spot. He's gonna get egged by the Grand Entrance from Bad Cop, and it's gonna be another kill for Wit. 3, 1, and 5 now, and it's a 4-for-0 for Reign of Kings.
Yeah, huge team fight coming there. The Lee Sin really just popping off. The extra damage that he's able to provide in these fights is actually just working out pretty well. Oh, he's
Boogie gets solo killed. That's a lot of damage coming out. The sleep empowered damage coming out with the eat. Slappy just takes down Boogie for the solo kill on the top side for a little bit of revenge and pushes the wave in the tower. That's a delayed ace for Reign of Kings.
Yeah, I think it was just a really greedy attempt from Boogie. He was sitting on like 1.6 thousand gold. It's like he could have reset and got the heart seal and be a little bit tankier. Plus maybe even get a proc off so that he would get this stacking going on that item. But he is going to be super squishy as far as this early game goes. No armor. Like all the only resistances that he has is the magic resist on the Mercury treads right now. So with a 5-2 Lee Sin, 3-1 Jinx, a 2-0 Veigar, he's gonna get melted down super fast, like until he actually gets to scale, which I think what
Vortex might be caught here. He doesn't have the sleep, but he does have the slows. Vortex pulls the feathers back. The event horizon flashed away from by Vortex. He's taking a lot of damage though. He's at about half HP and still burning down. And a health stacking champion like Heartsteel Scion, that's exactly what you want when you're playing Liandry's Demonic Embrace Lilia, right? Yeah. So, it's not getting much better for Boogie until he gets some MR, and it's gonna be a little while before he's able to build towards that item. This dragon just has to be seeded away by Elysium for us.
Yeah, like I thought how like Elysium would kind of approach this game would be just okay. Let's focus the early dragons. Let's get as much like they did, like Hastega did steal it, so I guess give credit where it's due, but like just get these early dragons, slow the game down to a point where the Scion can get tankier.
Vortex does have Featherstorm and Cleanse is going to be found here. Gale Force is away. He does not have Cleanse. I was wrong. I thought he had Cleanse. I don't know why I thought he did, but he is able to Gale Force away to safety. Nice. He kind of sniffed it out there, drops the control word on their heads and says, oh crap, gotta get out of here.
Yeah, and actually now he has no flash, no Gale Force. His only safety is the Featherstorm right now, where if the Lee Sin is already on top of you, it is kind of hard, because even if you kind of create some distance after pulling the feathers and rooting them, if Hastega lends a Sonic Wave, you're still more than likely a dead Xayah. The Anivia still looking to finish the Seraphs, but kind of falling behind, and the item spikes. This Veigar is already finished 2 items, almost completed on the Rod of Ages. Looking real strong, and I think we're kind of also seeing the difference between what the Cage does, like the 2 different zoning tools from the side of both these mid laners. The Cage just makes it so hard for anybody to move, where Naysayer, it slows, but unless you can get the wall off, it doesn't really provide anything. It doesn't allow the enemy team to walk in, but when you're losing these objectives, what is even the point of using the Anivia slows in that sense?
Yeah, it's about 8,000 gold lead for Reign of Kings right now. Elysium Frost, they have, both of these teams have very good scaling, so if this game goes to maybe 6 items, that gold lead won't matter. But right now, Reign of Kings very much in the driver's seat, nicely dictating this game. They did lose out on 1 dragon as a result of, I think it was just bad recall timing by Chachi OKC. But overall, it seems like they've got a good control of the game. They've cracked all 3 of the outer towers, picking up all 3 waves of farm nicely allocated, and we'll just look to fight on maybe Baron or the next dragon spawning in about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, and Cloud Soul, it's actually really good, I think, for the side of Reign of Kings, because if this Lee Sin goes for, like, let's say an insect play, then he's going to have the movement speed, the burst of movement speed to maybe run away. The Jinx, if she's feeling pressured, she can ult, especially if she gets a kill with his Super Mega Death Rocket. That's going to be a lot of movement speed on the Jinx as well. Plus, I think the best one on the team is the Rakan with the quickness. It already gives 75% movement speed, so with a Cloud Soul, it is going to be super, like, fast engages coming from that Rakan. Also, just the, I think, overall slow resistance.
Okay, go ahead and just start up the early Baron. 21.5 minutes. It's an easy enough to pull off there. Not super a whole lot committed, but they get spotted out immediately, and they're like, okay, just kidding. We only wanted to do this if we were going to be uncontested, like they really weren't expecting it. The control ward will be protected by Naysayer over the wall, so they will get to hold their vision over Baron for a little bit longer.
Yeah, and Anivia, kind of the GOAT when it comes to over the walls, just doing damage and just poking people out.
Sega looking for a kick flash on Vortex. He's gonna get the zap off, but Vortex makes it away from the Flame Choppers. Now Hastega forcing out the Feather Storm is gonna go in, get charmed up, cleanses it away, and Bad Cop is the one who died, going a little bit too deep under tower, but the Event Horizon catches one. Teleport from Slappy means the Chaser goes down, and Boogie teleported as well, but not anyone there to follow up. Naysayer's not in the fight, and Vortex is just completely chunked with no defensive tools. They are gonna look maybe at this Baron now, but it is only support for support.
Yeah, it was support for support. The side of Elysium is a little bit more chunked than the side of Reign of Kings, so I was kind of seeing if they were looking for an angle on that. Naysayer might want to be careful here. You have Slappy and Hastiga. Maybe a sleep would be a threat there, but good play coming from Elysium side there. Vortex able to kite back. Good route coming onto Bad Cop there. Makes sure that he doesn't die and picks up a kill in the process. The gold lead is still at 8k. We might see a fight.
Yeah, very close there on the feathers coming out from Vortex, but didn't quite get the root off, as it will be another 5v5 as Chaser getting a big chunk out by the bowling ball. Flash Frost gonna go wide, and Chachi moving forward with the threat of the Event Horizon as Hastega blast cones into the pit. Event Horizon is gonna catch 2 as Chaser is now stuck in the middle there. They got a little bit of a slow on to Chihuahua as Chaser is just taking a lot of harass as the Unstoppable Onslaught goes straight down the middle. Bad Cop looking for the quickness, but he can't find a target, and it's only one charm, but it's gonna be Bad Cop for the kill of the fight to do the Primordial Burst coming out. Here we go, Chachi moving forward. Naysayer and Vortex just continuing to try and cut it out, but Slappy just burns them down. Flash Frost and the Super Mega Death Rocket comes out. Slappy goes very, very low, but it will not be enough to finish off Naysayer as a 4-for-1. Bad Cop, the only one to fall on the side of Reign of Kings.
Yeah, the Rakan is going to be this kamikaze just engage tool for the side of Reign of Kings, but every time, oh, the dragon just stays at 1 HP, but they will possibly be able to pick up the Baron. I'm not sure if they're looking for. Vit is making his way towards there. Yeah, everybody's moving.
Yeah, This is, it's an angle, but it's a little bit close.
Chihuahua is up.
All the members of Elysium Frost have respawned, but maybe they're not expecting this. They don't have any vision on it, and Chihuahua is making his way over here now, but it's going to go down a little bit too quickly, and it will be Reign of Kings with the Dragon and the Baron.
Yeah, and I feel like the game just doesn't seem that far gone just because of like the items on the actual carries, the quick blades finished, the Anivia not being too weak. But when we look at the overall on the map, there's actually a 11,000 gold difference right now between these two teams. Like the top lane is actually behind 3,000 gold, jungle is behind 3,500 gold. Slappy and Estiga have been really dominating their counterparts in this first game. Naysayer and Vortex, they're trying their best, but not much you can do in these teamfights when the enemy team is this far accelerated. I think we talked about how easy to execute it can be for Elysium's team comp, but when you don't really pull the trigger in the early game and like kind of get counter ganked and die that early on, it just kind of opens up Reign of Kings' playstyle to really shine, and Hastiga has been making the most of it with the Lee Sin, kind of richest player in the game. All 4 members on the side of Reign of Kings actually on 10,000 gold mark right now.
Yeah, and this is kind of the bread and butter playstyle of Reign of Kings, like you're talking about. Hestega's on these kind of playmaking type champions, and you just allow Wit and Chachi to scale up on these late game champions that just have enough damage that they can follow up on any play that Hestega wants to go for. Just juking out Naysayer a little bit with the Flash Frost available. Not quite going to find his target. They're just baroning up this minion wave and trying to push down mid. As Slappy is going to get his time away with the top lane, and they're going to look for the 5v4 play. Flash Stretch Line doesn't connect. The Unstoppable Onslaught is going to go straight down the middle once again. A great event. Horizon and Flame Choppers cuts off the remaining members as Spooky is focused down, and from behind comes Slappy. He's going to go in, is going to put 3 to sleep maybe. He doesn't even pop the R because he's just winning the fight without it. Finally, they go down. One gets egged. He's going to go down as well. And Vortex just sort of getting chased away by Wit. Slappy just moving around with the speed of sound. Dodge away from the Mr. American target, but it's not going to matter as the double kill comes in from Lee Sin. Ace for 0, and Reign of Kings going to take game 1.
Yeah, to be honest, the unstoppable onslaught hasn't really been on point this game. I think he tried it close to 3 times, never really landed on any of those, and unfortunate game 1 for the side of Elysium, but really good showing for the side of Reign of Kings, especially with Elysium like coming into this week with a little bit of a bad week last time. I think they were looking to just kind of bounce back, but Reign of Kings doesn't really allow that in game 1. Really good early game control coming out overall from Reign of Kings. Good laning phases. Plus, I think Hestiga actually stealing that first dragon was crucial because it really doesn't allow Elysium to really go for that. Okay, we're gonna stack dragons in the early game and then play for Soul Wincon and then stall out the game, right? But it doesn't really work out that way. The damage charts kind of says it all. Everybody, almost other than Rakan, everybody on the side of Reign of Kings did just more damage than Elysium.
Yep. Really nice play from Reign of Kings. Elysium Frost just kind of getting run over after a little bit of an unfortunate fight around that first dragon. But we're going to take a short break. We'll see if Elysium Frost can tie it up at 1-1 with a win in game number 2, or if Reign of Kings will take it in 2-0. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you in just a little bit for game number 2. Internet, hello and welcome back. We're here for Champions Select for game number 2 between Reign of Kings and Elysium Frost. Of course, Elysium Frost, having lost that game number 1, did get side selection. They've chosen to remain on the red side, so it seems like both teams had the side they wanted in game number 1. We'll see if anything changes, but so far it looks like identical picks and bans for this game number 2.
Yeah, kind of interesting. I wonder if there's going to be like a change in like, oh, they do ban the Jinx, so might kind of for Hesika
Yeah.
gets the Wukong, and they still go for the Zaya. Maybe they think the Jinx was the issue in that game, but I feel like you change out the okay.
Ooh, I
They
like
will
that.
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Since they
so
don't have the jungler, they will able to
So,
pick the Zaya Wukong.
Elysium Frost go ahead and ban away the Jinx that was B1 pick for Reign of Kings. With that out of the way, they're gonna go ahead and take the Wukong. Since Elysium Frost no longer has to steal, or no longer have the option to steal away the Wukong, they go ahead and secure that lovers duo bottom lane. Zaya and Rakan, both of them particularly good champions in their respective roles. Ashe is going to be locked in for Reign of Kings, and my guess is that this will in fact be AD carry Ashe.
Yeah. Vet does play it. I think he also pulled it out last week, if I don't remember wrong. And like they can actually match it with again Nautilus or some sort of champion that has some sort of engage, so that they're just like really dominant in this laning phase. They can really just push it onto Zaya Rakan. Rakan is actually really vulnerable and squishy early on into the game, and it will be the Amumu, which really provides that early game CC that I was talking about with double bandage toss. They will pick up the Zac.
Wow, okay. So Ashe locked in. This is a champion that, Riot has been slowly trying to push her away from support and more towards AD carries. And they definitely did the job. The champion does an absurd amount of damage with the new Q Max available for Ashe.
Yep.
Amumu locked in as the support pick of choice for Bad Cop on the side of Reign of Kings, and it will be the Zac jungle locked in for Elysium.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like Zac might be a little hard to pull out, especially in teamfights against the Wukong. I think the Cyclone interrupts
Yes.
his jump, but don't quote me on that. They will be able to pick up the Silas, where there is actually a few really useful ultimates. The Immold, one of the best when it comes to Silas. Ashe, if he pulls it, it does a decent amount of damage as well, and the stun duration kind of sets it up for his team to really make plays. So it also forces the side off Reign of Kings to like really pick champions that doesn't really have huge impact ultimates. And if they do, then they will be able to, the side of Elysium will be able to use it against them. The Poppy, though, is a good pick. I don't know how good it is. I'm assuming this is top, and blind
Yeah.
Poppy top. It is for the use, like, it is for the utility in the team fights. But if the side of Reina, if the side of Elysium just can pick a champion that can, like, stomp Poppy in lane, I feel like it might just be a little rough to really get to that team fights.
Yeah, Rise is going to be locked in. This was left available instead of banning Aurelion Sol and Rise. They Elysium Frost have opted to ban instead away the V champions Victor Vigar from Chachi OKC. It means that he will get the Rise that was banned away in game number 1. And the Poppy you've been talking about, a great pickup against Zac and Rakan, and even to a lesser extent Stylus. Silas's W will get interrupted by the Poppy W because it is a ever so slight dash. But in answer, it will be Gangplank locked in for Boogie in the top side for Elysium. Is this the counter matchup you were expecting, or is this more like a hey, he can't really threaten me, so I'm just gonna play Gangplank and become Gangplank?
I think it's more of a like if you're a good GP player, almost every lane is beatable. Like if you're good with your barrel timings and you know how to use you make the full use of your passive, the champion is super strong. And he can definitely beat Poppy in 1v1 unless he misplays it. And that is just a free skilling thing. Poppy doesn't really specifically counter him. He just needs to be just aware of where his Stiga is, because if he gets behind, then the Poppy starts to like really get ahead and start doing damage.
Yeah. I don't know. Interesting pickups in this game for the side of Elysium Frost. Reign of Kings, to me, they're the team that really likes to take these kind of team fight wombo comps. You want to play front to back here. Great champions to do that. Rise and Ashe really like to stand in the back and just throw abilities nonstop. And you've got Papia Mumu to stand in front and do that. But Stylus, great pickup here against the B1 through 3 on the side of Reign of Kings. Great ability to steal. We've talked about it. It's just a question of whether Zac and Rakan will be neutered enough by the presence of Slappy on Poppy that the rest of Elysium Frost are not like too hampered by the loss of that. You know?
Yeah. I feel like they still have the advantage of like the early game Wukong dueling. Like Ryze will be outranging the Sylas, so Plus might get poked down in this lane if Darius and Ryze can space well. The bot lane should be in favor of Reign of Kings as well. It just kind of comes down to this Poppy pick. If this GP can get if a little too far ahead in lane, like kill Poppy a few times, get a CS lead, it might be scary because they don't really have a real threat on this Gangplank. There is frontline, and even if the Amumu ulti lands, he has his orange to really cleanse it, and then the barrels just do so much damage. But
Oh yeah.
that will require, again, like just like last game, just some mechanical or just knowledge of the champion, you know. And with how good Reina Kings were able to utilize their tools, their champions, especially how Stiga and Chachi, they were like really on point with their gameplay. They might just be the difference maker in this early game and kind of like just snowball their weight out of this game, because I feel like if it goes to scaling, it might be rough for them.
Yeah, again, to be honest, in this game, I think that scaling is a little bit like both teams. I think scale less well than they did in
Definitely.
game number 1, but I think like as far as scaling goes, it's about even again. I think Zaya's damage is pretty comparable to Ash's, and she has a little bit more power to continue to do damage in team fights, whereas Ashe has a little bit more of her power budget in
Yeah.
just the
The
ultimate.
slows as well.
Yeah, and the utility. So, I don't know. I like both of the team comps yet again in this game.
Yeah.
Um, and honestly, it's even really hard for me to say which team comp I like more. I think if you were like, hey, gun to your head, pick a team to play on, I would say Elysium Frost. I like it a lot just because I think Zac is very good in the later stages of the game, and I don't think that Reign of Kings like in terms of pure team comp, Reign of Kings don't have the ability to just hard win early enough that they kind of snowball like they did in game number 1. But again, it comes down to execution. Reign of Kings, they can just like kind of pull it ahead like they did in game number 1, and just like not give the Zac any room to breathe.
Yeah. My opinion on that is that like just the Rise Rune Cage, the Amumu bandage tosses, the Wukong, just like overall just early damage. I think there is really a lot of potential there. My thing about scaling was kind of with Gangplank. I feel like that champion, even though through the some nerfs, he still does absurd amounts of damage. He does absurd amounts of true damage because of the quick blades, and it is just really like his side laning is good. He can just utilize his ultimate without TPing. If he's in a team fight, the barrels are scary. If if like Slappy like doesn't respect him, and then Boogie's like maybe a Gangplank connoisseur, I see them winning this game.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I think that, and I'm kind of in the same boat as you. You know, we kind of been hinting at it without saying it that Gangplank is just kind of one of those champions that's kind of good at all points in the game. You know, yeah, he has weaknesses. He's not mobile. But it's kind of hard to it is increasingly hard to punish him for stepping out. You know.
Yeah.
In any case, we have about a minute left on the spectator delay, so we're going to throw up a standby screen, go for a short break as we get set up for game number 2. Random Kings 1-0 up. They can take this game in 2 if they win this game. Elysium Frost looking to tie it up. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you in just a little bit.
Will you follow me tonight to break their spine and reclaim what once was mine? Those cravers backstab me, deceive me. Never shall I tolerate their crimes again. Now let the hunt begin. Yeah, 7,000 souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our gloria to live forever. Yeah, bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Yeah, I am the light bringer. Now listen, fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end? There's way more to avenge. Whoa! 50 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Yeah! Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our gloria to live forever. Yeah, bring down the dawn regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer.
Internet, hello and welcome back. We're here with game number 2 between Reign of Kings and Elysium Frost. Looks like we'll have the classic sprint down mid and see if anyone runs into me, and I can press my bandage toss and land an ability. But Elysium Frost, they're gonna go ahead and stay kind of grouped up towards the bottom side, maybe scouting out for an invade. They're gonna see Bad Cop and the rest of Reign of Kings move in to their side, so they're gonna be able to prep this one. But it looks like they're even kind of sniffing it out. They're kind of hesitating on this one. Chachi moving, getting ready to move forward.
Yeah.
Oh, this is scary. This is scary.
Because if they face check it, I think the Rakan knockup might be a little too OP, and they might just get bursted down, but they're going to back out. Again, for anyone watching, if you're invading, either support or the jungler should, I think, take sweeper. Just to make sure that it doesn't go bad.
Yep. They actually got spotted out on their push towards the bottom side of the map. Boogie is just kind of walking his way back towards top side as the members of Elysium actually are going to find the members of Reign of Kings on the invade here. Abscond Duck comes in, the flash away
wait,
from the knockup from the
what?
grand entrance, and they're fighting over the wards. Neither of them completes, and the
Okay.
banished husk will go wide, so it's
It will
just
be
a flash from Bad Cop.
Yeah, it is a. I don't even know if he had the flash. I saw that Chaser kind of missed the W there, but it's going to be a really late solo start with the E start from Chihuahua. This clear is gonna suck for the Zac. Oh, it's gonna take a long time with a lot of kiting. Oh,
Oh god, that's like a nightmare scenario for a jungler. Like you start the ability that's just like the worst for clearing, and you get to start it with no leash. So I mean, Zac is already a champion that takes a while to scale up. You need a couple of levels in that elastic slingshot before you have any real gank potential. So you're kind of forced to farm, and your farming is slowed. It's just gonna be that much longer. This really stinks for Chihuahua.
yeah. But separate from that, it's good that they burned Bad Cop's flash because next time, like Chihuahua can just kind of eventually full clear towards this top side, and then once he finishes that, resets, comes bot, and then there will be a kill angle on this Amumu more than likely. And until then, I feel like most of these lanes should be kind of safe farming, not a lot of solo kill potential other than maybe mid lane where Nacer actually opted in for the ignite this game.
Oh yeah. All right, so an early elastic slingshot coming in there, maybe you get a kill. But with phase rush, Chachi can maybe just zoom on out of there if he can dodge away at least one of those abilities. Naysayer moving forward aggressively and just getting the shove in here. Chihuahua clearing away on his Raptors. Is a little bit behind Hestega in terms of clear,
He's
but
gonna leash
it's not terrible.
Well, I was just expecting the Silas is maybe leash Chihuahua on the red buff, but he just moves, places a ward down. Interesting ward though. I'm not sure what they're. I guess
I think they were
Hestega doesn't
anticipating maybe an
invade.
invade from Hestega.
Yeah.
I can see it. Like you know that your Zac took E at level 1, so you know he's gonna be a little bit slower than usual. Maybe that's the time you go in. You're already a better duelist early on because you're Wukong versus Zac. So maybe there's an invade potential. So Naysayer just wanted to scout out for his jungler. Nice guy mid laner, Slappy
Boogie.
trading in onto Boogie. It's just gonna take a couple of power lays to the face though. So Slappy just trying to regen up with those Doran shields.
Yeah. But Hesea is really just up on the tempo when it comes to this.
Chihuahua is here though.
Tempo
Slappy does have his W available, so it's not gonna really mean much here unless they can burn it early here. Slappy actually may not have had the mana. He pops it now. Is gonna get stretching strikes in, and Slappy will go down. First blood to Boogie on the side of Elysium. As meanwhile, Vortex was getting aggressed on. The ghost popped by Wit in exchange for the flash from Vortex.
Yeah, kind of interesting that he I guess he wasn't able to react fast enough, and then also didn't flash fast enough. So no, not really any like important summoners burned. The TP will be burned here, but the first blood will be huge on the side of Boogie. I think he might just be able to get a boots as well before he gets out of base. No, I guess he has the boots rune. So the Sheen back. Probably one of the best first backs for the Gangplank. He doesn't even have to TP here. He's going to be able to hold on to that. And again, this is kind of what they need to do. Just accelerate this Gangplank. He was kind of going down in CS a little bit in the lane, but with that kill, it will definitely help him a lot. Hestega though, power farming ahead in the camp clears. Chihuahua is slowly catching up, but I'm just waiting for maybe a place where it's mid lane where Nayslayer is really chunked in HP and mana.
Yeah, I am really curious as to whether Slappy just didn't have the reaction time, wasn't expecting the Zac to be there, so didn't pop the W. I think he probably would have lived even without burning the flash there.
Yep.
The Chaser just going to show his face in the mid lane, is going to help Naysayer shove out. Stylus struggles a little bit in shoving the waves, go very low on mana and have to put yourself in danger to do so. So nice little roam from Chaser to make sure that he's able to shove and get a recall off. Vortex appropriately staying back and not getting engaged on in the 1v2 situations. Boogie actually still down quite a bit of farm, is going to be able to make it up. There's a fairly large wave crashing in a tower that he'll pick up most of here. But surprisingly enough, Slappy, you know, still like about a wave's CS ahead.
Yep. It's mainly because Slappy was really able to TP back, catch that wave, and I think Boogie, I actually missed some of that wave during that fight to kill Slappy, so just a little behind in CS. Doesn't really matter though, like Gangplank, one of those champions where he really just gets extra CS per minion that extra gold per the CS that he kills with his Q and barrels, so it will be really useful when he wants. It is really disgusting. Like, you see a Gangplank, he's like 0-5, but if he's farming well, he's still going to be ahead of Indian items. It is really good in that sense. I'm surprised that we're not really seeing too much aggression. Like, there's definitely some fights where Vortex was forced to burn the flash.
Gonna get knocked up by the grand entrance here. Is gonna get rooted up by the feathers as well, flashing away from the cannon barrages. Now Wit is getting slowed up. Wit does still have flash available, but Chaser not able to continue in on that one, and now Hastega coming in. Bandage Shots goes back in onto Chaser. He's got the aftershock, and now Wit is gonna slow him up. Hastega flashes in, looking for the E. Cyclone is gonna find Vortex over the side here. Here's the elastic slingshot though. Hastega is gonna knock it up with the second Cyclone, and Vortex goes down. A flash away from the second Bandage Shots from Chaser. Hastega continuing to move forward. He's just gonna force him back away. Naysayer on the way down as Chachi Realm Warp down just for moral support. They're gonna pick up the dragon, or at least attempt to here.
Yeah, and I think Chaser and Chihuahua really learned a lesson where do not use your dashing abilities while the Wukong Cyclone is still going on, because it just gets interrupted and they weren't really able to do much like they almost died as well there, so they need to be careful about that. Good turn though, I would say overall for.
But interestingly enough, hold on a second, as Boogie's getting aggressed on Slappy's actually so Boogie flashing away. I think he would have lived regardless, just because Slappy didn't have any mana to use the Keeper's Verdict. But Boogie gonna go ahead and safe flash away. Interestingly enough, I wanted to say is that Elysium is the one that just get the dragon.
Yeah. Especially, but with the reset timers of Wit, they were able to kind of pull that off. Hastega also burning the flash and the ultimate, kind of vulnerable there if they really want to look for a play. Slappy needs to be careful here though. He still has the flash, but no TP means if he does go down, he will be left in an awkward spot in this lane. Naysayer actually has the Mumul, so he can possibly look for something.
Yeah, and Naysayer going for the Lost Chapter as Wit is going to be the target here. Nicely dodged away from the Elastic Slingshot, but Wit is going to get Let's Bounced and rooted up by Vortex. He's just going to go down. A little bit of disrespect there from Wit. No flash, I guess he did just Ghost, but no flash is going to get jumped on by the Zac. No vision to stop that one from happening, and no support. Ends up just giving a nice one over to Vortex on the side of Elysium.
I thought, like, especially with the Ash pickup, they wouldn't really get... Like, they wouldn't be dying to ganks too much because of just, like, Ash.
Oh, here we go. Flash Keeper's Verdict from Slappy. He's going to use the E to push him farther away from tower, and Chachi just picks up a kill. Nice roam from the mid laner of Reign of Kings, but now Bad Cop goes in with the bandage toss, just pushing Vortex away as Chihuahua going to arrive and see his red buff started up by Hastega. Hastega just going to retreat there, Blast Cone out to safety as here comes the potential collapse from Chaser and Naysayer. Naysayer stealing away the Curse of the Sad Mummy. Very dangerous to fight when the Silas has that ultimate available.
Yeah, and like that top kill is actually going to be huge for Slappy because the whole wave was crashed and Boogie just TP'd back to lane before that exchange, so he does lose a decent amount of EXP, and the next wave I think crashes as well, goes under turret, so it is going to be bouncing back the wave. He does have the he does have his first item completed. The Essence Reaver will definitely help him about like just not running out of mana, and extremely good damage early on against this Poppy that I think I want to say he's going Frostfire. I think
he's Thunderer. I think he's going Thunderer.
It does depends on what he builds third. I think if he gets it Chain West, I think these are still the components for the
Okay, gotcha.
Crossfire, but like the champion can make use of both. I just personally feel like they just need this Poppy to be in the front line, and Divine Thunder is kind of a little too squishy for my taste. But you know, every player has different playstyles. Slappy has been playing really aggressive, just making sure that Boogie doesn't really get to do much, so the extra damage from Divine Thunder might be useful. Other than that, not really a lot of other items coming through this early into the game. Last time we had the Rod of Ages completed. As I say that, Chachi finishes it. He's going to start that one going on. He's going to start scaling it up. He's up close to 10 CS. Has the Dark Seal, has the tier. Looking strong in the mid lane.
Yeah, speaking of the Rod of Ages, as Boogie now gets aggressed on by Slappy, he ease onto a minion and just stops the Hammer Shock on top of him, but, speaking of Rod of Ages, I'm kind of disappointed that Naysayer's not going for the Rod of Ages build on Silas. You know, you can go for the Rod of Ages, you can go for the Everfrost. It allows you to Realm Warp hold on behind Boogie, as Chachi now gonna go for him. He's just gonna walk onto him. Boogie doesn't really have anywhere to go, and Slappy will pick up that kill for himself.
I think.
But, yeah, I don't hate the Everfrost, but like I just think Rod of Ages is such a good item, you know?
Yeah. I do agree with like the Rod of Ages being a good item. I just personally feel like it is decent value to have the Everfrost here, because there's 3 melee champions on the enemy team. They kind of want to just dive onto you, so using the Everfrost to kind of slow that down or stop it completely would be really good for the side of Elysium. Plus, not only that, but if the Zac or Rakan gets a good engage, he can E Everfrost, E again. Really good CC layer, I think, on their team comp. I don't hate it. I don't think Rod of Ages would be bad either. I think it's fine this game. I was expecting him to get maybe boots a little earlier so that he can roam around.
Yeah, so Elysium now with the Rift Herald early on are going to look to try and push down first tower here, as Hastega is going to make his presence known. Naysayer's here as well, but Slappy's here. That's a nice cleanse from Vortex on the Enchanted Crystal Arrow and the Cannon Barrage to push him back.
Yeah, the GP ultimate comes down. It's gonna make sure the wave really gets chunked.
On the Vortex! Vortex gets caught by the Curse of the Dead Mummy. They're trying to disengage. Nice engage by Chaser with a combo onto 3. But Hastega gets in there with a Cyclone onto Vortex and Naysayer. He's sealing away the Cyclone. Naysayer's gonna go in with a Cyclone his own, looking for Chachi, but they're getting cut away by Wit, and Wit just has the damage. They go in with a knockup. Wit's gonna go down to Chihuahua, but Chachi flashes forward, doesn't find the Q, and Elysium, they don't quite get it. It's a 1-for-1 so far.
It's Slappy just dipped there, I think. He just TP top. And then after he finished TP, Backup did look for the engage. Really good ultimate usages from both sides.
Looking for it. He's invisible, looking for Vortex. Is going to find the EQ plus Smite. Divine Sun for fully finished on this Wukong. Is just going to beat Chaser's head in as well. Chihuahua can't stop him, and Hastega gets a double.
Yeah, kind of overstaying there. They were both really chunked. So they both go down. Hastega is the real winner of that exchange down the bot side. And the gold lead not jumps, but comes back to close to dead even. 300 gold. They will actually, I think this is the most important thing. The side of Reign Kings will be able to pick up this dragon. The Hextech dragon will be going over to them. And we will see the soul here. Mountains rise. So really good actually for the side of Reign Kings if they can get 3 of them, because I'm pretty sure it gives 8% armor MR, which Poppy already has, I think, percentage armor MR increase. Same with like Amumu, I think he gets it from his E. The Wukong uses his passive for the resistances. So overall they actually make really good use of it.
Oh, that's a good arrow onto Chaser into the bandage toss. Chaser's gonna try and get away with the grand entrance, and Chaser is just gonna get he's able to battle dance out to Chihuahua. Chaser will survive. That's the Enchanted Crystal Arrow down for the next fight, but probably not a real need to fight on the side of Random Kings for another 4 minutes.
Yeah, to be honest, Merc Shreds plus Rakan, really slippery champion. And the Merc Shreds make sure that he's not CC'd for too long and help
nice
him.
Everfrost, but Chachi gets out of it just in time to dodge away from the Absconded Duck. Now Naysayer is in a little bit of trouble, taking a lot of damage as he'll finally get away from Chachi.
Yeah. you don't really get to. If you land Everfrost and miss the E, you're really in an awkward spot as Naysayer, because you kind of you just find yourself just dashed into the rise, but no really other follow-up. Just gonna get chunked most of the time when he goes for that. But we see most of the first mythics coming through for, other than the supports for everyone in this game. The Everfrost finishes for Silas, as we said. The Iceborne finished for the Poppy. It is a Radiant Virtue for the Zac, so for the team fights, they will have that a little bit extra sustain and burst. So thank
Boogie
you,
is
Boogie.
just fighting in onto Slappy
Oh
as the
my.
Realm Orb is coming in. He flashes away from the Hammer Shock. It looked like Boogie is just trying to ignore Slappy and go for that barrel that he placed down, trying to just get as much value as he can from the parlay extra gold. But ignored him a little bit too much. Slappy does do a fair chunk of damage with that Frostfire Gauntlet, and then of course the Realm War forcing the flash out from Boogie, looking for a repeat gank up there maybe to try and punish this flashless Gangplank.
Yeah, I think Boogie should be just like trying to play off of his barrels a little bit more. Not the fact that landing the barrels, just like but procking it, getting the passive damage off, because that's how he's gonna do the most of the damage to this Poppy. It's just like she's stacking armor, has the steel caps, really tanky against AD damage, but GP passive, if he can stack them correctly and get a few usage out of them, he might be able to do what
Slappy's
it takes.
here, Naysayer looking for an E. He's gonna get stunned into the wall after missing the discount of Duck, but he does have the Curse of the Sad Mummy. Chaser goes in.
Oh,
good
huge.
three-man knock up, but the W is still up. Three-man Curse of the Sad Mummy is they're gonna go in. Bad Cop responds with his own Curse of the Sad Mummy, but the first kill of the fight is Hastega, who gets shut down by Naysayer. On the other side, Naysayer continue to go forward. Slappy dies to the Ignite. Bad Cop goes back in with the bandage toss as Chaser's getting in there, and Wit gets taken down by the Founders. Bad Cop gonna get taken down as Boogie survives. It's an ace for 0 for Elysium.
Yeah, perfect team fight, perfect ace coming for Elysium there. Really good engage coming from Chaser, followed up by Naysayer's Amumu ult. And the Curse of the Sad Mummy there stuns up, I think, 4, maybe 5 people. Really just ends the team fight right then and there. Hestiga goes down early in the team fight. I think it was the first one to fall. So not really, he's the guy with the lead. He is the guy who is supposed to carry these team fights. So with him going down too fast, the Reign of Kings were not really able to give an answer, and nobody really going down there really hurts. The turret is taken by Boogie up top, and that's a huge gold swing out of nowhere.
Really big. The gold lead was like what, 300 in favor of Reign of Kings. Now it is 5,000 in favor of Elysium. 5 kills for 0. They get the Rift Herald. They get a ton of gold from the towers. Dragon spawning in 45 seconds, but now Elysium looking very comfortable for this next fight.
And I think the biggest difference, the big difference maker there was actually the vision setup. The Reign of Kings cleared it now, but there was so many vision in almost every single bush there before the fight actually happened. So it wasn't really like Elysium really knew where everyone was at all times on the other side.
But this is a potential catch, and Janet Cristero gonna connect onto Chaser. He's gonna go down with a Cyclone interrupting the battle dance. Chihuahua now is gonna get interrupted on the Elastic Sing Shot. Now the Bandage Shot connects on the Vortex. He has to jump away, and Chihuahua pops the Let's Bounce to run away with the Radiant Virtue running. They've only caught Chaser though, and that's a lot of ultimates invested. Bad Cop, Wit, and Hastega's burned.
Yeah. Vortex's ultimate is just coming back up. They have the Cannon Barrage from the Gangplank, so if they want to, they can look for this dragon. I don't think it's impossible for them to really look for this play. Chaser
barrel. 3 members just get chunked down by Boogie. He does have the Navori Quick Blades. Not enough crit to one-shot anybody yet, but he will continue to lay damage in on the Bad Cop as the arrow is back on cooldown. No, it was a stolen arrow. Naysayer stole the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, just used it, but it didn't have enough duration. Now Hastega's in the pit. Now Slappy going in onto Chihuahua. He elastic stage shots. Who's gonna get the dragon? It's stolen away by Hastega. Now the fight breaks out. Slappy is just getting shredded down by all the members of Elysium. Elysium, and in the backside, Naysayer just eating Chachi alive. Ignite goes down, he's slowed up. Naysayer finally finishes up with the Abscond of Duck. They get Chaser, but they're gonna lose everybody for it. Naysayer finally falls. Now Hastega goes in, 1v3, there's the Feather Storm, and Hastega gonna go down again from the Flash Blade Collar. Another ace for Elysium.
Yeah, and the fight start didn't even look too bad for the Reign Kings, but Slappy was just stuck between two carries of Elysium. Boogie and Vortex kill him first, and after that it's just 3 engages on the backline from Reign Kings. This Rise, strong, but not where he really wants to be. Still doesn't have the Seraphs completed, still wants the Rabadon's Death Cap to really dish out the damage that he wants to do. Reign Kings just like trying to contest fights that maybe they just can't at this point in game. Just really good job from Boogie in that fight, just making sure to chunk the enemies down before they can even join the fight. Really good cannon barrage to zone them as well, and not much else for Reign Kings to do there. They weren't really able to play towards their ultimate abilities, and they just need to set up for these fights just better, because every time for the last 2 fights they've been just face checking into Elysium's vision, and then Chaser and Chihuahua find good angles every single time. They just need to be there, be first to the objective, and really set up. They did get the dragon, which is I guess a consolation prize at that point, but again, you're just giving over a lot of kills. It's Quick Blades finished Zaya compared to Ash that is still trying to work towards the Runeans.
Looking for a play there. Slappy goes in onto Boogie. Hastega and Chihuahua are both here, however. Now Hastega has the flank arrow. Arrow comes to cross, but Naysayer's here looking for the Abscond of Duck. Not going to find a target, but they do have Hastega behind. Elastic Slingshot interrupted by the Steadfast Presence. Chihuahua is going to go with the Stretching Dice. That's Hastega in the backside is just cycloning all over him. Chihuahua going very low, and in the backside though is Chaser as Hastega's the first kill of the fight again. Vortex is just ripping him apart with all these feathers. Slappy just trying to survive, and Chachi is just going to be the last one. He's gonna get slowed up by Naysayer. Naysayer goes golden to drop tower aggro, and again, it's an ace for 0 for Elysium.
Ace for 0, Baron is up, and again, really sloppy teamfight from the side of Reign Kings. I don't even know how Estiga even ended up on the backside of that flank, but Elysium didn't even turn on him until it was like kind of too late. He got a good engage off, but again, they just don't have the damage at this point in the game.
Wow, a lot of respect by Elysium just leaving here. They take the inhibitor, push the wave all the way in, and then they all leave as members of Reign of Kings kind of pop back up. Yeah,
well, again, they have shutdowns on their carries, like 400 on Boogie, 300 on Naysayer, 400 again on Vortex, so you really just don't want to give them over. Take the reset. They already got the inhib with the Baron buff, so they are going to be able, they're going to have the side lane permanently pushing when this next dragon comes up, so they don't really need to worry about pushing the sideways anymore. They can just focus on the bot lane. And like I will say, just Naysayer has been playing these last few team fights insanely well. A huge curse of the Sad Mummy from the stolen Amumu ult there, and he just, I think, ends the team fight right there with that ultimate. Not a lot for Reign Kings to do, and they don't really have an answer at this point. Like Rise is just behind in items straight out, so I don't know how Reign Kings can really come back into this game other than maybe this Ashe or Rise just getting a bunch of shutdowns by Elysium just throwing them away.
Yeah, and we pointed it out as well, but I want to say it again, that Chaser is really the MVP a lot of these fights for me. He's getting big CC chains with the Rakambo, waiting out the Steadfast Presence, and then going in with his R onto RW or RE onto a target that's already in the back line. I think he's playing this Rakan great. As now Bad Cop might be caught here. As I say, he misses the grand entrance, but there's the Elastic Slingshot coming in from Chihuahua. They're just buying time to get some damage onto the tower. They're backing away. They do have Chachi on the top side, so it will be a 5v4 until that teleport finishes. As Elysium Frost trying to get a bait brush here, looking for the Elastic Slingshot and onto potentially Bad Cop, but they don't have vision in the area, so they're gonna back away. Dragon has spawned as Chachi is pressuring this top lane tower, so they're gonna go ahead and just force the issue by taking the Dragon. They can survive that top lane tower going down, and Boogie gonna go up there and prevent the inhibitor tower from falling.
Yeah. It's not too bad of a exchange for the side of Reina Kings either. They're not really going to be looking to win these fights most of the time, at least at this point in the game. So, Rise picking up that side lane gold, a huge, like, the tier 2 turrets give 500 gold, 600 gold to the Taker himself, plus the objective bounty. He's going to be able to reset into more items. Definitely, it should help him in the future fights. But, oh, he just buys the Oblivion Orb with it. I'm not even sure if you're too worried about the healing.
I would be concerned about healing. I mean, Silas obviously with Kingslayer, Zac, Radiant Virtue applying it to everybody. I think there's a fair amount of healing. It's just a question of whether cutting the healing is worth not having 800 gold towards maybe more damage. It's like, is the healing you're cutting more damage that you would get than like buying?
I feel like the issue is not the fact that Elysium is like healing up too much. They are healing for sure, but
Elastic Sync Shots is gonna find Let's Bounce on the Bad Cop. They steal away the Curse of the Sun Mummy as Naysayer comes in. Banish Shots actually missed from Bad Cop. I think he might be happy that he didn't land that one. Not really anybody ready to follow up as Hestega's on his Raptors right now.
Yeah. Then Baron will be coming up soon here, so
yeah, will not have Let's Bounce for that one. Go on with your point about the Grievous Wounds though.
Oh, like, my idea is this. You already have the Bramble West on Amumu.
Does he win this? I don't know if he... Well, he's winning it pretty well so far as Hestega is... wow, actually winning that one. He's level 14 to level 16 on the Gangplank. I'm surprised he wins out on that 1v1. But that does mean Boogie's not on the map for 45 seconds, but the jungler is in the bottom side. They're going to try and start this one on the side of Elysium Frost. Chachi coming around. They're corralling themselves into the Baron Pit. This might be really disastrous for Elysium. They do have a stolen Curse of the Sun Mummy if Naysayer wants to pull the trigger. Chaser goes in, gets a good knock up on a 2. Naysayer trying to go in, but he doesn't kindly. If Sion is knocked, Bad Cop Curse of the Sun Mummy, but he splashes in for his own. Goes golden. The feathers don't really find a target as Bad Cop goes with Advantage Shots, cleansed away by Vortex. Naysayer's been shut down. Chihuahua on the other side, and now this is Reign of Kings Baron to take.
Yeah, really big choke coming from Elysium there.
He's gonna go for it.
W.
It's gonna be denied by the steadfast presses. The bandage toss over the wall from Bad Cop, and the smite secures it. It's Reign of Kings Baron.
Yeah, Reign of Kings do secure the Baron, plus get 2 shutdowns that I was talking about on Naysayer and Boogie there. Huge gold swing for them. Like, not the biggest. They're still down 6k gold, but it will definitely help them with just coming back into this game. Really bad death, I think, on the side from Boogie. He burned a flash late. He still died. Good Baron attempt, but I think they forgot that while you're on Baron, your MR will be reduced. So the damage from Chachi actually is increased by a decent amount. Plus, even the Curse of the Sad Mummy with the Even Shroud, like, Bad Cop is doing like not too bad of a damage there in that fight, and the 4v5 was just not in favor of Elysium. Now, if they can pick up some of these outer turrets that has been standing for the longest time on the map, they will be able to get a decent amount of gold back.
Yeah.
Let's set up for the next dragon.
Yeah. Now the gold lead dwindles down to about 4,500. And don't forget, of course, Amumu also amps damage. His passive curses you, so you take 10% more magic damage as true damages. Meanwhile, there's an arrow attempt onto Vortex. Now Slappy's getting jumped on by Chaser and Naysayer. He's got the Keeper's Verdict. He's gonna boot him out of there, and that will be that. Hestega went for a play onto Vortex, expecting the arrow to land, but it does not connect. He's not able to get a kill there, and he gets trunked down. So 45 seconds on this dragon, has to take a recall.
Yeah. Awkward item choice from Boogie though. He did go for the Collector instead of building the Mythic Prowler's Claw. Maybe he's just trying to get full crit as much crit as he can. I just personally think the value coming from the item Like just the Prowler's lethality value is just really high. But again, it's 4 item GP, 80% crit, a lot of damage. Quick plays completed, level 16. I would be scared to check this guy, like face check this guy. But again, Rena Kings, this time they have the vision
Slappy
control.
is playing Vanguard, the Dragon is started up, and Chihuahua is looking for Slappy. Slappy taking a lot of damage, the Stolen Curse on the side by me. Nice deny! He's used on the Naysayer. Chaser trying to get in, but he gets denied. Naysayer throws out the curse on the Mummy himself, but he doesn't go get much of a target with it, as now Wit is just shredding through them. The arrow comes down, and a big damage from Chachi gets the blobs, and it's gonna be Reign of Kings with a 5 for 2.
Yeah, they were not really able to kill Wit there in that fight, and he just dishes out so much damage. You talked about before the game, the buffs on Ashq literally makes her rip through the enemies that she's against, and with the build that she's going, she just burns through them, i.e. not even completed on this champion and still doing insane amounts of damage. The second Mountain Dragons picked up by Reign of Kings. This will add to their resistances. This will just make it that much harder for the side of Elysium to really kill them, and they will be able to pick up an inhib here.
Yeah, really great wall stun in that fight by Slappy. Catches Naysayer as he tries to go for an engage, and then they're just able to focus him down so quickly that he has to go golden, and they're able to play around his Stolen Curse of the Sad Mummy that much more easily. A lot of credit, I think, has to be given to Bad Cop for these fights, just because, I think it feels really bad to ult one person as a Mumu, but that's all he's done in the last 2 fights. The first one around that Baron, and the second one just now around the Dragon. You only need to press your R to stop Naysayer from getting in and getting his own good Curse of the Sad Mummy. Your team is able to focus him down, and you win the rest of the fights even without a Mumu ultimate. So really just intelligent use of that ability by Bad Cop. So, you know, both supports playing really, really well this game.
Yep. And when we look at the item spikes, we do see, I think Chachi already had that finished death cap before the last team fight. Vet gets so much gold from last fight. He finishes the IE, gets the last Whisper, slowly working towards that LDR. Is it impossible for the side of Elysium to win a team fight? Definitely not. But like I feel like the gold lead at this point might be deceiving, just because of the amount of like damage that Wit can actually dish out right now. He has better peel, better range, better front line in front of him compared to Vortex. So until Vortex finishes that LDR, it's going to be so hard for him to really go through this Poppy and Wukong, even
And
the Amumu.
I think something that's really, really important to highlight as well is experience discrepancy. Chihuahua's level 15 to Hastega's level 17, Naysayer's level 15 to Chachi's level 18. Those are the big ones to point out, and not having those stats is really hurting Naysayer and Chihuahua right now.
Yeah, like I think it was like every level is almost like 500 to 600 gold worth of stats. So
yeah, approximately. As Naysayer steals away the Realm Warp and instantly uses it, he would rather have a lot more combat power as the Elastic Sea shot in the denied again. Yes, there's the Let's Bounce for Chihuahua, getting the Radiant Virtue off. Azteca goes in with the Cyclone, but doesn't find a target. The Crystal Sun comes down. Naysayer goes golden, but that's a big
huge barrel.
Azteca gets annihilated, but Naysayer gets taken down on the other side. The Cannon Brock, as the arrow re-engages the fight. Boogie flashes to try and get onto Wit. Bad Cop goes in. There's a big knockout coming up from Chaser, and now Vortex has the chance, but Vortex can't do enough damage. They can't finish anybody. Witch is going crazy. Finally, Vortex gets 2, and Witch and Vortex trading auto attacks. It's Zaya that comes out on top for Elysium, and it's a 1 versus 1 on the map. Chachi still alive compared to Vortex on the other side.
Oh, he did not have LDR. I swear, if he has that, he cleans that fight up way better. But huge triple kill for Vortex, finally popping off in the team fight. Overall, really good team fight from both sides. Boogie landing a huge barrel onto Hestiga and some of the backline members on Reign of Kings, crippling them basically, so that they were not able to follow up the fight as how they wanted to. Bad Cop missing the Curse of the Sad Mummy, unfortunately, this fight. So I think that might have been the game changer if he was able to land that. Good preemptive Zhonya's coming from Naysayer though. Goes in, uses his cooldowns, goes into stopwatch as fast as possible so that he's not caught by the Curse of the Sad Mummy. And we're getting to that point in the game where everybody is fed, everybody can win a team fight, and it's just going to be really fiesta from now on.
Oh, there's no way they're starting this, is there? Okay, Elysium
They
are gonna
do.
go ahead and start at the Baron. The Blast Code is,
They're giving
the
this.
Scuttle Crab is secured by Reign of Kings, so they're gonna for sure know that this one's happening. Teleport coming in from Boogie as the members of Reign of Kings
they're
are
not.
on their way in. Arrow's gonna connect onto, Chaser as Hasteka goes in with the Cyclone. He's a little bit too early as the Banner Shot comes in from Bad Cop. He's gonna be able to curse the Mummy onto 2, but Slappy on the backside, and Wit is just ripping him apart. There's the Guardian Angel from Hasteka, and he's gonna get the last extinction
Wit
immediately.
got
Vortex so just doesn't do enough damage as Wit is finally going to get here. Vortex is just trying to get in onto them. The blobs are gonna come back up. Vortex gets jumped on by Slappy, and Slappy just takes him down
is
with
it
the
game
buckler.
over?
Chihuahua pops back up, but it's gonna get triple killed down by Poppy, and it's gonna be the ace for 2 in favor of Reign of Kings.
Oh, really close team fight there. Vortex not really able to kill Chachi there, and I think this is all she wrote for this game. Yeah, the next member up
the
is
inhib
14
respawn, though.
seconds. Oh, no way! Like,
Okay,
Chaser's
so-
up with Ignite.
Okay,
I think
he's
they
gonna
might
come
not
in here.
be able
Chachi's
to-
pretty low, and I think they're making the call that they can't finish the
Oh.
game. So the game continues on.
Soul
Dragon is
up.
spawning, and it is Dragon Soul if Reign of Kings secure it.
No TPs mean it might be... They're really chunked, though. Chachi, if... I saw Hestiga type GG well played thinking the game was over. And then he was like, sorry, it wasn't PM.
Yeah.
That's how...
I mean,
that's how,
it's a
like...
close call, right? A lot of
Yeah.
times you definitely think that the game is over, but that
Yeah,
inhib
inhib.
respawning just so trolled by Riot
Oh.
video games.
Yeah, it was really funny to see that. But again, they're back on map, and Wit actually has enough damage to maybe burn through this Baron. I was surprised that the side of like Elysium was going through that Baron so slow, because I know that Boogie on GP should be doing incredible amounts of damage to that thing.
He actually didn't go for the Prowler's Claw either. He went for Hydra as his last item. So, this is just no Mythic Gangplank, unfortunately. I'm not sure, like, whether that's good or bad or whatnot, but last 16 are being channeled. They're like, I can engage, but the Curse of the Time comes up from back out, trying to disengage. His Chaser's getting annihilated. Now Vortex trying to get in onto Chachi. Nice Keeper's verdict to disengage the fight as Bad Cup goes in. Boogie takes a big chunk of damage from Chachi, gets wall stunned. It's a nice double kill for the Hastega. Chihuahua goes in. Naysayer trying to do what damage he can. Gets in onto Wit, but Wit goes golden and killed him off anyways. But Chachi goes down on the other side of the fight to Vortex. Slappy looking for it. Is gonna get the slow with the Frostfire Gauntlet. Vortex is now gonna go in the Featherstorm. Hastega goes in. There's Slappy to try and get onto him, but Vortex has no more tools to get away. He's gonna go down. Maybe not. He's got the feathers. Finally, Slappy finishes the job, and it is gonna be GG. Reign of Kings take it 2-0 after a very hard-fought game 2.
Oh, that was... It was so close. Unfortunate for Elysium. Such a big gold lead. Just a few mistakes, especially on that first Baron call. And it just eventually goes down towards Reign of Kings. They take the series 2-0. Really well played, I think, for Elysium game 2. Like, they really tried their best. I think some mistakes definitely made throughout the game, but much cleaner look. I would say they deserved to win, but again, they had it in their grasps, but they were not really able to hold on to it. The 19,000 gold on Boogie, he was really fed. It did the most damage in the game too. Just not nearly enough. Naysayer really fell off, I think, after the first initial good fights where he was able to get the Curse of the Sad Mummy.
Yeah, we had some really good team fights for coming out of Elysium Frost, but unfortunately, as the game goes on, Scaling comes online for Chachi. He's doing the most damage on the side of Reign of Kings. And eventually, at some point, they just stopped being able to get onto Wit and one-shot him. And then, of course, the AD carry Ashe was just doing so much damage. So yeah, I think both of us had kind of pegged that as an Elysium Frost victory. We're gonna go to game 3, but Reign of Kings kind of pull out the come from behind victory. We do have Wit here with us for an interview with Reign of Kings, the victorious AD carry. Hi Wit, how you doing?
I'm a lot better now that that game's over.
Pretty stressful, pretty stressful. But I wanted to ask you. Obviously, you're early adopting this Ashe AD carry kind of back in style. You played it last week, if I recall correctly, and then you just now played it to great success in this game number 2 against Elysium Frost. You have anything to say about like the pick or like when you pick it without giving too much away, obviously?
Honestly, I think Cody is a big fan of it, or Hostega, and I don't know. I think it's not bad. Obviously, it's coming back, but yeah, Cody's a big fan of it, and I think we just like the utility, kind of like Varus, but just with longer range, with the arrow, obviously. So I think it's
Yeah.
coming back.
For sure, for sure. Sultan, you have anything you want to ask?
I guess I'll say this because it just looks awkward sometimes. Where I think in team fights, you guys just, even if you're behind, you guys pull it back together. Is there like a specific person that normally shot calls on your team for these team fights, or is it just like kind of a team? It's just like everybody is like kind of synced up and talks a little bit.
Most of the time, it's Hostega shot calling, but like this game, I think everybody kind of chimed in because we noticed that we were losing team fights pretty hard. But I think we adapted really well. You know, mid game, we saw that we were down 10k gold, so that was obviously a really really big deficit. But I think with the Poppy was huge, obviously with all the engage. So I mean, Poppy was keeping me alive the majority of the time. But I was so glad that I built the way I did because I really thought about building shield bow. I was like, if I build shield bow, I just won't.
You're not doing damage.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad we went with that. But yeah, I mean, in that last game, I think like everybody kind of had something to say when it came to the shot calling.
Yeah.
All right. I want to talk about your team's overall record. You just like that victory. I think puts you guys in 3rd place, if I'm not mistaken. That was kind of the battle for 3rd between you and Elysium Frost just now.
Right.
The 2 teams you've lost to are the number 1 seed, currently Optimal Esports, and the number 9 seed against CB Rush. Is that
Rush is not 9th
I was
seed.
gonna
Like
say,
Oh, okay.
they're much better. They just got comprelled, so they're
Yeah.
like they're lower in the standings. But the
Okay.
fact that they're gonna still probably make playoffs after like going down so much.
Okay.
So-
In any case, the point I'm trying to make is next week you guys play against Bing Chillers, which is one of the other teams currently seated ahead of you. Is that something that you guys have already been preparing for? Have you not really taken it like you're gonna take it this week to do that, or like is there anything you're looking out for in that game?
I think we kind of take every week, week by week, I guess. We haven't really. I think a lot of us know who is on that team, so it's like we kind of know what they want to play. Which I know is actually, I think they play a lot of different champions, but I mean, yeah, I don't think it's really any different. Obviously, they're one of the top seeds, but I think didn't Elysium 2-0 them?
I think Elysium's only lost to the top 2 seeds, and you
Gotcha.
guys now. So
Okay.
actually, they've only lost exactly to the 3 seeds ahead of them now.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, I think that we just are gonna take it similar to
Take it
what we
week by
take every
week.
week. Yeah,
Fair
and I know
enough.
we kind of had a weird dip because we had some roster changes and everything with False and
Ranking out.
ranking out, yeah. So
Yeah, so that's the kind of the one of the latter points I wanted to ask you about. So Chachi's come in as the new mid laner. It looks like he kind of plays a little bit more of a scaling style as well. I mean, Falston also played a lot of Vigar, at least from what I can recall. But like, how is it different for like you and the team playing with Chachi compared to playing with Falston?
I think altogether we've played with Chachi a little bit more, so I think that comes into play. I also think Chachi has a funny like personality when it comes to like picks and stuff. Like he thinks, he has his opinions on if certain things are stronger. And sometimes we have to pull him back, and then sometimes it works out. But with the biggest thing I think with Chachi and difference between Chachi and Falston is I think Falston is a very good solo queue player. Apparently, with him ranking out, but I think Chachi is a better team player. I mean,
I get you. He's willing to make
Falston,
more sacrifices for
yes,
the
yeah,
rest of you
exactly.
guys.
Yeah, I think he plays better in a team environment.
I getcha. All right, Sultan, you have anything you want to ask Wit?
Nope. But congratulations. I'll say
Thanks.
that.
Yeah, from us here on the cast, congratulations to Wit and the rest of Reign of Kings. Oh, sorry, Wit, any shoutouts you want to do before we sign off?
Oh, definitely the team, obviously, for keeping me alive, even though I did get one shot by Gangplank in the second to last team fight. And then Brankles, of course, got to give it out to Brankles.
Oh, yeah. The
Alright.
Grankles and Reina Kings
They have
dynasty.
a thing
Brankles
going
Yeah,
on.
they have a history, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, congratulations to Wit and the rest of Reign of Kings. Good luck next week in your match against the number 2 seed. That would be Bing Chillers, I think. Or am I looking at this wrong?
I
No,
think
I'm
you're
right. Yeah,
Uh,
Bing Chillers. Anyway, this has been me, AgentA2, and Sultan, obviously, on the cast. Thanks for watching, everyone. We're going to be signing off here. Tune in tomorrow for Classic Championship Series Advanced, and have a good evening.